Welcome back to Workers and Resources. We're back in our prison republic. Well, Siberia Gulag Run Challenge. Building our railroad right now. Once we have reached the customs house, we should be able to get our EDK rail construction vehicle ready for action. And hopefully then rail construction will work a little bit faster. And then we can build up to the depot and to the cargo loading station, and then hopefully lumber exports will be a lot faster. And we'll start earning some money. No guarantees though. Wood price is going down right now, but still above the starting price by 30%. We'll see what happens. We are using foreign workers to run the rail construction office, which will make sure that this is working fine. This train has decided to build this track, which I'm not really a fan of. But I'll let it build as far as it gets and then pause the remaining construction so it builds all the way to the customs house first. Also pausing this one. But yeah, my goal, I guess, today is to get the lumber hooked up, which, I mean, only really is waiting on the rail construction to be completed. The train diesel station could do with only 5%, but I guess 15 tons of fuel is fine. Okay, pause that construction. And let the rail construction vehicle continue on this way. Oh, I just realized that this would be janky. We should probably fix this before it is set up permanently like that. It would still work, but it looks weird. So we're gonna disable snapping and then re-enable snapping and just bring the train track back. Place the signal. If it will let us do that, yes. And then move this track as close in as possible. And now this area here looks way cleaner. Can't wait for the EDK to join the rail construction efforts. This rail construction office is temporary, but I wanted it as close as possible to the customs house to make it make the connection happen really quickly. Should have probably built out this way first, which would have made sense, but no, the trains have to turn around this way, I guess. That is probably one extra rail construction task after this one, and then we have our EDK. On the other side, we set up our second settlement, which is basically waiting on people to move in. We do have our bus route already. The heating plant is being run here. You can load anyone but workers. try and get them to our starting settlement. If there are people waiting here, pick them up. But not workers with an education. Workers without an education would need a school education, so those are fine. I might take down this whole road. I might relocate the construction office into a new one. I might stop this road here and make this the new permanent road. We'll see. Right now it's running, so that's all that matters. I think that's the last construction task, and then we're at the border. Then we can finally use our cheaply acquired EDK rail construction vehicle. And tunnel boring machines will become available later. At some point. Track builders. 68. 3 years. We'll probably buy one as soon as possible, just so we have it available as cheap as possible. Otherwise inflation is going to drive up the price. There we go. Connection is done. And now we can move the construction train to our rail construction office. You can ignore the signal and just move. And we'll see if we can either deactivate or do something with the other train. This signal should go, I think. Then we'll start building up this way. Need to finish everything here, and the paused construction tasks need to be resumed. This one. Brilliant. The other rail construction vehicle should also be able to move once this one has gone past the signal. Lovely. That will get us moving pretty soon. We'll probably drop another signal here, so when one train builds up this way, the other one can finish the construction on this side, I think. But this is only really important for rail construction right now. So those signals will probably be removed to make sure that the rail construction vehicles can coexist with the other trains on the track. Although this janky railroad will have to be modified at some point. Nice. So the small train will probably start building these, I assume. No. Then we'll unassign this one, and it should now start building here. And then this one we can't build because of this is too short, I guess. But it's fine building from this side only. At least the trains can now have their tasks assigned to them this way, where the short train will always build this one and the long train will continue building this one. Just turn around. Wait, what are you trying to build? It is this one. What are you doing? I don't understand why you tried to do that. If you're trying to build this track, I guess I'll drop another signal here and see if that fixes it. Should only really need to go to this signal and turn around, but I don't know. Next signal. I'm so confused why you have an issue with building this one. Oh, you finally got it. Okay. Very well then. Now we're splitting our workers, I guess, amongst two trains, but at least all the resources being carried by the long EDK train are very efficient. Once we get to the depot, I think the small train is going to make its way over there. And once we bring the first pig locomotive over, we're going to send the train to the customs house for export. Once we have 21-year-olds without their own flat, then we need to open up the next settlement, and we would also migrate some people over. Right now I don't want to do that, because it would lower their happiness, and I kinda need the population growth right now. We could also put some more migrants here after that fact. And then we'll have to see like the effect of the other settlement, what the situation is going to be like. Presumably we will need a police station in range. I don't know if this area can like survive without a police station. It might just run into a crime spiral and then overwhelm our existing settlement. But we gotta test it, I guess. One more house here, a bunch more workers. That's an extra 50 workers, which should hopefully allow us to run the prison at full capacity if we get there. 41 prisoners, it's pretty good, but there will be a lower amount after all of them are released after their sentence is over. Because right now there's no more crime happening. Which is for the best, I think. Which hopefully also means that if this is stable, we can have a bit of income, but maybe we can make more money exporting lumber. Lumber is a very worker efficient resource, and the market price is playing into our favor right now. It's just the transportation capacity is very low, so we're struggling. Okay, let's see, you can move in here if this is clear, you can not move in here if there's a train on the green block, so this should be automated. A bit of a traffic jam because of prior construction. I'll call all of you home because you're waiting on workers right now anyway. Might as well let the bus with the workers arrive here. Still a bit of work to be done, but I guess we just gotta wait it out. Next settlement after this one, as I said, probably one on this way, just so we have it. I don't really have an overview of resources yet, so we only know about the bauxite, so I think I'll just like build a direct route through here. Settlement maybe on this side, could also be close to the bridge, but this is I think a little bit easier to flatten out if we have to do that. Could be more room for logging, and then we can send wood to the lumber mill from both sides, I guess. Two rail construction vehicles is not ideal because the EDK is super slow now. And it might drive home because there's no workers here right now. But once the trains... oh, we did manage to skip on that. Because the foreign workers arrived here in time. Usually I'm a big fan of that, but in this case... I wouldn't have minded if the train moved out of the way to let our domestic workers through. They probably are still going to make it if this construction speeds up a little. I will remove the dirt road connection from the customs house, so that our vehicles will not do this nonsense, because that is kind of silly. I only needed that for upgrading the road. I don't want them to drive on the dirt road when it's covered in snow and be slowed down that way. Okay, these workers are not going to make it at this rate. But maybe now the vehicle's a bit faster. Once the construction is done, we have to remember to shut off the bus route, bringing in foreign workers. Oh, you still made it. Nice. Yep, we need water. Gonna get it soon, hopefully. And yeah, once this train has reached the depot, then this train can move into the depot, because by that point, hopefully this train has constructed all of this, and even if it hasn't, I would like to focus my workers in the rail construction vehicle that is the most efficient. Why are you using this road and not going up here? This is irritating me a little bit, so we'll do this. Might be a good idea to put a gravel road here, so our snowplow has a better chance of saving this, should it catch fire. Okay, now rail construction on this side will not block the road anymore. That's why I was babysitting the rail construction office, because I was worried a little bit that the fire might show up and I would have to send it home manually. But we should be okay now. Except maybe if it builds this way from here. But for now, we are in the clear. The new building will bring us over 1,000 workers. Second research point would become available at 2,500 at the earliest for population. For our second settlement, we would get it as soon as the second settlement has at least 200 people in it. We are ready to accept trains, we just have to finish the constructions. Still worried about a fire causing like havoc or something. Still a little bit worried. This is gonna take 3 construction, maybe 4 construction tasks. Another 1 or 2 for this one. It's a very short route, but yeah, driving back and forth takes a lot of time. No heating needed right now, just all go to the fire station, please. And keep the area safe. Fire station itself will still need a waste storage together with the sawmill, which we should be able to do. Don't think there's any recyclables inside the sawmill itself. But yeah, we can have a shared waste storage here. That is fine. And the prison. That too. In the future. It'll all be handled by a large waste truck. No stress whenever it gets here. It's fine. We're not building in this area because we have everything paused because we don't need it yet. Nice amount of workers. What's the gravel price? It's going up. It's almost double the starting price. It's basically at the point where I said now I wanted to do something. We have to make our own gravel production after the lumber is set up. We have to set up the quarry and a gravel processing plant. Oh, I don't... If I use it for domestic production, I could set up a small quarry and run it with a truck to a gravel processing plant and then feed it into an asphalt and a concrete plant, but mainly just for a gravel storage. If I want to export it, it should be in here with prisoners. I don't think I don't have any capacity of like having extra prisoners here. They're all in the clothing factory. So that gravel quarry might be just for domestic consumption. Hello Mega Monkey. Thank you very much for the raid. Welcome everyone. Happy Friday to you. Shout out to you. We're puzzling away in workers and resources. We are currently building up our train track to start hopefully exporting lumber soon. But gravel price is also creeping up quite quickly, which is a little bit scary. We're almost at the train diesel station. Need 2 construction tasks to get there and 1 to finish the track behind the depot. And we're done. Hello Taz. Welcome. For people who don't know me, I'm the Sprite Shirt, and for people who don't know what this game is, why weren't you watching what Mega Monkey was doing? He was also playing Workers and Resources, a city building game during the Cold War era in Eastern Europe. Very simulation heavy. A lot of things going on, but also highly customizable, meaning that you can get a lot of mods for it, or you can customize the difficulty to your liking. It is not an easy city builder by any means. Board's price has dropped from 90p. Do you mean 90, like 0. No, you mean 90 per piece, or what? What's the p unit? Pound. We're not, wait, rubles, right. Rubles, okay. I was like, p? What? Pence? Yeah, well, our wood price is still holding. You're from 90 to 60, what? Well, I guess you probably already had to deal with inflation, is my guess. Don't send out the small rail construction vehicle. You bastard. Go back home. Now you can send out the other one. Just wants to be free. Yeah, sure. Always doing the wrong thing. Unbelievable. You can build this one. That's fine. Let the long construction vehicle build the long train track. But yeah, we are doing a challenge run in Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic. We are trying to build on the Siberia map, which has a very long-lasting winter. And we're trying to build a Gulag Republic. And by that I mean everything we want to do that revolves around earning money, be it rubles or US dollars, has to involve prison labor, if possible. So, for example, if we wanted to export wood, we need to cut down the trees with prison labor. If we wanted to export quarried stone, the quarry would have to be run by prisoners. Oil doesn't need any labor, so I guess by my rules you could just export it. But I am wondering if I should alter the rules and say if a resource is produced with no prison labor, it's also illegal for export. There has to be some prison labor involved, which would exclude oil for the export. I'm not sure if I want to make this rule yet, because it is already quite difficult from the start. We already had a death spiral with 4,000 people, self-induced. We tried to make a bunch of raging alcoholic children, and they overwhelmed our crime and justice system, so yeah. Not ideal. But now we have a lot of prisoners after catching up with them. So we have to walk the fine line of getting as many prisoners as possible while not succumbing to crime. Because crime in the game can be a very deadly aspect of it. People get unhappy, they become less productive, the police stations become less productive, and everything starts spiraling out of control when crime becomes too strong. So usually you do all in your might to prevent that. And I guess we probably still have to do that, except we might want to tweak and try and get some extra prisoners more than normal. Right now we've done that by tweaking the sentences to be the maximum sentence for any crime that is committed. More than normal. We do still treat our prisoners for criminality, so when they get released they should have very little crime indeed. They're going to be very disloyal, they're going to be completely unhappy, but at least they are not going to be criminal. is not doing heating on the desert map generated more than enough prisoners. I think if I don't do heating on the Siberia map, it will not generate prisoners. It will generate fertilizer. Hello, Sigan. I don't know where to stop pronouncing your name. Is it Siganthal? Siganthal? Or is it just Sigan and the LH is silent? Or is it a capital I, or I don't know what to say. Siggen LH? I don't know. I'm gonna stop. Maybe you can enlighten me how to say that. I've been wondering that a bunch of time already. Sigan, okay. Sigan. Without the LH. So one more construction task after this one to reach the gas station, and then one to get to the depot. And then we'll send our other rail construction vehicle to take a break. And we can also bring in the diesel train. Hopefully the refueling is going to work without problems. I mean, we will only have one train running. Just, this is a very low-end setup. On purpose, mind you. I wanted this to be rough looking, like rural industry on when it starts out, basically. Except the customs house, but if I take down the other planned items, it would probably look pretty good with like a waiting line here in front of the customs house. Almost there. We are eating through our money quite quickly. But that is also in part because our lumber exports are very insufficient. Delete the signals? No. My signals are set up perfectly for the rail construction. They are flawless. I'll just have to turn them into one-way signals when we get to it. Delete the signals. Now, technically, if we really wanted to make an early railroad, then yes. I have one train, we don't need signals. But I guess we can get that luxury for ourselves to say we will plan with signals in mind. Otherwise it's gonna get pretty bad. Yeah, one more construction task after that. Looking forward to it. Are there tracked vehicles in vanilla? You mean trains? Or trams? Or what do you mean with... Oh, wait. You mean tanks or like tractors with tracks? No. No, they are not. Not with vanilla. What are you doing? Huh? Oh, you're refueling. What? Cheat. Not even excavators or mobile cranes? No. Oh, well. I guess the starting excavator from the Soviets you could count as a tracked vehicle. Sorry, this one. But they don't behave like tracked vehicles per se, they just work very similar. And then I guess you have the Western bulldozer, the bulldozers, which I tracked. Yeah. I told him to ignore the signals. Yeah, I don't think they have an animation. I think only wheels are animated. Yep. Oh no. Well, whatever. Wait, are you refueling now too? No, you're building. Okay, sure. It's gonna be nice not having to have all those trucks on the road exporting wood, lumber. Should make things a lot more efficient and actually hopefully profitable. We have on the entire map in our storages 10,000 rubles worth of lumber, which doesn't sound like a lot because it isn't. But currently our production is also standing still, so we're not producing any extra. I think we might start earning some money, maybe. Hello Zed, Tuzar. Welcome. Hot chocolate and cookie? No, it's coffee and cookie. Very well then, you may have it. Okay, you can ignore the signal, because this train should be able to build all the way through, unless... No, this has already been constructed, so it's going to be done soon. Ignore the signal and go through. There you go. Small train should build this one next. I guess it's decided to continue building this? No, it is actually building that one. Okay. Nice. Now we can wait until this one has built past the signal to let the other train through, but I can speed it up a little bit. Finish this track, 51 work days, and then the other short track. And the whole line will be done. For now. It's not active anymore, because they modified the software so would need a constantly running mobile phone. Really hate what they did. Trigger fire, yeah, I guess there's a free alternative or something. Oh, it's not free. Well, maybe. Okay. I'll have to migrate my things then. Or maybe it's a software where you have a free version and at some point they might deactivate the functionality for the paid version instead. I don't know. Almost done. Then we just have to prevent the short construction train from building towards the depot and we're gonna be good. Okay, sure. I don't have time looking at it right now excessively. I just saw a thread asking for free alternatives to trigger fire, which made me believe that it was paid, but I guess not. Nice. I won't get another kindergarten, this thing just needs to be more efficient. Loyalty at 36%, which is nice. For us, at least. Low government loyalty is still a thing, but I think this is mostly related to prisoners. And we're almost done. Then a short section of track after. This one needs to have its signal set to where they can run in both directions, which they are set up that way. Now we just make sure that the other short train doesn't build this, and then we can complete it in one go. Okay, nice. So this train track is only for storing vehicles. The main line has 2 road crossings basically. Currently only 1, and in the future I think this one will go away. So this would be the only road crossing here. Don't think a bridge would make any sense. Temperatures are fine. Good. It is March and it's minus 21 degrees. Some more workers, please. Thank you. Please, workers, please. Why no workers? Train's gonna move home. Hurry. Oh. Dirt road. Nope, too late. Oh well. Gonna send you home then. Oh, starts with full speed apparently. It remembered how much speed it had when it was moving, when I teleported it, and it launched out of the rail construction office. Okay, hopefully the workers have enough time to finish it this time. That's a really short section. I will tell the bus for workers to go into the depot. You can run one more time, but it shouldn't really be necessary. And the other bus, same thing. We are done. Rail construction vehicle, make your way to the depot as soon as the other train is back, I guess. Then we'll move our pick locomotive out. We'll pick up our train cars together with an export of the small rail construction vehicle. There it is. What is that bump, please? Unbelievable. Looked like it was jumping. So one export task together with the import task of the train cars. Ain't the pick too slow to be useful? No. It's gonna be perfect. For what we are trying to do. Attach the rail construction vehicle to unload it, and then load whatever's in the customs house and come back. Then we're gonna assemble our train, and we're gonna be ready. We did a village run and used the pig extensively. It's slower than the rail construction vehicles, which means the rail construction vehicles will be hindered by your normal train traffic. But the train traffic has no issues whatsoever, just the rail construction vehicles are just going to be another train. Gonna get a little bit of money from this, not very much, but at the very least 4,000 rubles, 3,800. 2 train cars, and then we're gonna make our export train. We'll change our distribution office to not send resources to the customs house anymore. And it'll deliver from our first storage into the second one, which will pick things up by train. No pun intended. Because pig train pick things up. Very funny. Alright. Go here. Wait until loaded. Go to customs house. Unload. And done. I just don't see how you get to here in just 6 years. It's unrealistic. It takes like a year to get my roads built, even following an optimized starting guide. I started building this settlement with dirt roads and then upgraded the main road to gravel when everything was in place. Trying to build everything up to asphalt is very slow in the beginning. But you could do that, like I could have set up like a dirt road next to a gravel road plan and then build up all the gravel roads. I'm not sure if I saved any time trying to use dirt roads in the beginning. How many train cars are reasonable for the pick? However many you want. I mean, you can run a long train with it. It's just going to be a slow acceleration process. But then you can double or triple the pigs. Upgrading to gravel shouldn't take a lot of time. I recommend using bulldozers if you really want to be faster. A bulldozer, like, we upgraded rather quickly with like a small construction office that was set to only do roads. So these bulldozers were only doing roads, the gravel delivery was only doing roads, and this vehicle was only bringing the bulldozers to like construction sites, nothing else. And we had a local gravel storage, so the resource vehicle picked up from here. This wasn't really used for road construction, this was for upgrading all the footpaths to gravel. But the bulldozers could still be useful on road construction, I guess. Yeah, if you set one up for just road construction, then you can make sure this one explicitly focuses on that, give it some dump trucks, give it some bulldozers. Maybe a bus, in case it's a short section of road. Or just have your construction office with buses do everything, and you should be good. As soon as the train is at maximum speed, the fuel consumption is nice and low. Now the logging camps will hopefully start operating again. How do you refuel trains? Train diesel station. I, in this setup, built one before the depot, so when it needs to refuel, it will just take a detour, refuel, and go back to its route via the junction. But this is a low intensity setup, there's only one train here. We plan for maybe a few extra trains. But since I'm planning on making this all look very rural, I'll probably just like place them on the main route. So trains can stop on their main route, refuel, and then just continue. I wouldn't want to do that with very fast trains because it would block all of them, unless you maybe set up like bypass routes around the train diesel station. But yeah, I guess in our case it should be okay. Okay, let's see if we can keep making a profit. Thank you very much. Profit. Green numbers. We're over 170, well, over 5,000 per month. We would be paying back the loan interest as well. As I always say, when in doubt, buy more pig locos. There's nothing wrong with pigging out a bit. Like if you compare the fuel consumption on its own, look at like a truck, how quickly that goes down. The train just needs like a lot of fuel during acceleration and then it coasts most of the time. And our train will be fully loaded on a hill and then coast downhill, so it gets to speed much faster and fuel consumption will be even more reduced. I think we'll turn off the exports to the customs house now. And this one will not pick anything up anymore, I don't think. There we go. Overproducing logs still, the trucks are going back and forth full. I don't have a... Yes, we're overproducing. We need to empty out the trucks on the woodcutting posts first. And these ones need to assign themselves to some of the newly freshly grown trees, which doesn't seem to happen, but we'll see. It was already working once, hopefully it continues working again at some point. I don't need a train to export all the logs at the same time once and then it stands around. I need it to keep up with demand, and right now I think it does that excellently. Compared to a truck, it's very efficient. Like, look at that fuel consumption. Even during acceleration, it's like the same as a truck, and then it's like at full speed, and look at that low fuel consumption. It's so efficient. We should repair it at 20%. I guess we can do 10% for all vehicles. Like, we have storage capacity, and the trucks only have to go here, pick it up, and bring it down to the storage. So hopefully they are capable on doing that faster than the trucks picking up the logs from the forest. There's some room here now, I believe. What we could do is have like loads of these setups where there's a small cargo station into a small storage with 2 logging camps, and we place them like around the map. So we get the whole trucks out of the equation and we just visit each of these storage areas with different trains. Or like the same train but a very long pig locomotive. We don't need to make the full 5,000 per month to repay the loan completely, but as long as we have a profit, we're slowly paying back the loan, even if we're not paying it back in full. The forest of pigs, yeah. Now, are you going to make the joke about a boreal forest, or should I? Very happy with this. Seems to work quite well. And if we run over capacity with the log production, we can attach more train cars to it to just make it more efficient. It would make the train a little bit slower. Well, not slower, but like consume more fuel during the uphill section to maintain the speed. But empty train cars, they should be okay. I don't think they add that much. Well, then again, we did have 450 meter long pig trains. You could watch them accelerate in slow motion. 49 prisoners. I approve. How's our population growth? Stagnant this year for the first 4 months. Last year it was okay, like it held. Always comparing birth rate versus death plus escapes. So that is 343 versus 354, so we even had a little bit of population growth. Migrants don't count because you spend money on that. I'm tempted to set up another alcohol kiosk to stabilize things. Because I think it's a little bit... yeah, it's overloaded. I'm also tempted to set up a food kiosk just in case the grocer goes into maintenance and we have some logistical issues. Plus it would make it easier for the people to buy some food here if they wanted to and walk less distance. Because if they can go back home and spend their free time at home, the free time is going to tick down much faster and they're ready for work more earlier again, I think. So let's try and make our population a little bit more efficient. Oops, sure. So what now? What happened to the wood price now? Any changes? Yep. Drove down the price quite a bit. But it's not below starting price yet, so we're okay. It's 15 workers, 19 workers in the clothing factory. We're getting some prison bus loads of workers there now. 50 prisoners, sheesh. So clothing exports will also happen more regularly now. That's 7k rubles in addition to our other exports. When fabric production, when prisoners, no earlier, like fabric production requires a lot of workers. Not as much as a mining operation, but it kind of does. And importing grain would be a requirement unless I have so many prisoners that I can send them out to the fields to try and farm for us. We'll have to do a farming experiment once we have so many prisoners where we don't know what to do with them. The logistics of bringing workers to production facilities with prisoners is kind of different. You don't have the convenience of the line spacing with end stations. And you need to keep in mind that if you arrive very late at your prison, the workers get loaded with not a lot of work time left. So ideally you would always want to have a prison bus here waiting to pick up people. That is not enough wardens, is it? Let's open up our indoor pool a little bit more. Happiness decrease is not good. I think the happiness might include prisoners, I'm not 100% sure. Hello Gibaurion. Thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Much appreciated. More kiosks. It's gonna be a weird thing, but I think for our village run this might make sense. It's not gonna be exclusively focused on kiosks, but some people will be back to work a lot more quickly this way. And it will also take some load off of our kiosk. Now, here we will have to have a distribution office to bring meat, because there's no attached storage to this, which is fine. It's a very low meat storage capacity, but can't change that. If I had more kiosks in a settlement, I would probably have a dedicated route, but that's not the case. And then alcohol kiosk as well. That one has a lot more storage. At some point I will need a warehouse here and deliver from the warehouse to the individual buildings, just so I have an early warning in case we run out of something before it actually starts impacting people. Right now if we run out of food, people are immediately affected. But if I have a warehouse set up in front of it, the warehouse runs out, we still have all of the food inside the building to try and act and save things. Still not making much money. What's the gravel price doing? Holding. Biological waste is not expensive, neither is fertilizer. Crops are okay. Coal is cheap. Iron is probably also cheap. Iron is yeah, same as coal. So right now we don't really have anything worthwhile of exporting. Thankfully the wooden price didn't crash. Maybe it's gonna recover and hold. We'll see. Thank you. Okay. If I stop importing electronics, I think people would be way too cranky. Highly educated worker number is going up, which is nice. By the time we can start our second settlement, it should be over 30%, and then we can immediately trigger a research if we want to. Secret police is not going to be an option since we don't have a party HQ. We could go for the geological map. I haven't looked at the oil price. Let's take a look at the oil price again. Oil price is terrible. We had spikes for price increase, but in general it's just going down. What about the meat livestock price? That is pretty good. But a livestock haul requires a lot of workers. Well, so 50 also. Yeah, 50. Steel, fabric, mechanical components, bunch of imports happened. Made this month very expensive. Getting 1.25k rubles per train load, and the price is still going down because it just ticked down by 20 rubles. Well, set up the settlement, I guess, with population, try and build the next settlement, and go for the bauxite. Maybe we can run the bauxite mine off of a settlement here. But we still need the fire station occupied. Maybe we can skip this settlement and try and go for the next one to be in this area straight away. Go livestock. Unlikely. We still have a clothing factory that isn't running at full capacity. All of the extra prisoners right now will make their way to the clothing factory, which is throwing off a profit. Unless I have enough workers to run this building with like at least 70 workers consistently, I don't need another large-scale industry. Yeah, farming with prisoners. It's rough. We could reduce costs by setting up our own food production for domestic consumption, but the maintenance of the food factory makes that unattractive for when you have very small amounts of population. Usually, chopping up livestock into meat is not profitable, but let me do a comparison of the prices. Just to make sure we don't have a situation where importing meat and running a slaughterhouse would be profitable. So 15 units of livestock get turned into 6 units of meat. So we divide by 15, multiply by... Well, we divide the meat price by 6 and divide the livestock price by 15. I think. Let's see. 130 divided by 15. 8.6 times. Wait, what am I doing? Times 100, right? No. Let me think about math. We want to calculate how much money we earn. 150 tons of livestock get turned into 60 units of meat. Times 60, I guess. Why did I do divided by 15? 130 divided by 150 times 60. It's 52. The ultimate resource, 300 tons of crops. I'm not... yeah. I'm doing the math wrong. Okay, I mean we need to multiply. So 150 times 130. 150 times 130. So that would be what? 150 times 130. We would spend 19,500 for one load of the slaughterhouse. And we would get 16 units of meat out of that, so we calculate 335 times 60. Which is 20,100. That is only a profit margin of 600 rubles, so that is not worth it at all. So that is not a production chain we can run for a profit. What a deal. Come on, logging camp. Do some trees. But yeah, we could probably need like another train car or two. This one isn't currently running. And we're still producing wood at a rather fast rate. I think I'll upgrade our train with another 2 train cars. The longer I make our train, the fewer exports it does, so the fewer impact on the market price it will have. If we export every 70 days a huge load, then it will drive the market price down during that time. But it should be better in general for the keeping the price stable. But right now I also need to save up some money, so I guess I don't really have that luxury. But yeah, also I think if this logging camp were to start as well, we would not have enough throughput on the train line. I'll get 2 extra ones. 6 train cars for now. Should be around 100 meters. Less than. Price drops more than 30%, it's really a lot. I was comparing it to the starting price, and it hasn't dropped below the starting price yet. Which means it's okay. Yes, it has dropped a lot, but that's to be expected when we start exporting all the saved up trees that we didn't export until then. Yeah, look at that, the storage is already full again. We were definitely not keeping up with the exports. It was a lie. I think the game wired to drop prices as soon as you start producing a good. I don't think so. As soon as you start exporting it, it does drop the prices. Because you're satisfying the market demand and therefore the price drops. You're running a planned economy, but the other countries around you still abide by supply and demand rules. We're not producing any oil, we're just consuming fuel and the oil price is still dropping. So it's not necessarily that. But I also felt the same way. Like, you build up an industry, you run it, you're like happy, oh, I'm making money, and suddenly all the profit goes away. Because you overbuild it and oversupply the customs house with resources. Yes, you could run ships, which are expensive in their own way. In the grand scheme of things, this is not going to be a very, like, high throughput route of wood exports, but we do plan on making it more profitable by running it through the sawmill. Once the next settlement has a population living in the area, at that point we can maybe build the train tracks toward the sawmill and set it up. This is looking better. Our train has more capacity than the storage of the wood here. I don't know why these ones aren't even unloading. So confusing. But yeah, I hope Mega Monkey is right and this building will start working at some point. Almost 4,000 rubles per train load, 3,900. Price is probably going to go down from, still going down, from the increased load. Trees need to regrow. Yeah, they are. I mean, I did plant a bunch of them at the start of the stream and they haven't assigned themselves yet. Remove their cargo. No, they're not moving out because there's no trees in the forest. There's no trees available here. Something is not right with the logging camp. All the trees are claimed by a different one. Yeah, we just gotta wait for the trees to tree faster, that's true. At some point we can refresh our loan back to 300k. Ideally we would want to get rid of it, but I think expansion right now is more important. I don't know if I want to spend money on getting migrants though. But it might be the right choice. Right, people. I think people are very unhappy with the large prison sentences. Oh, we had our first escape this year. Forestry checks. The last forestry track does unlock auto replanting, so trees get planted again as soon as they're cut down. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about planting them manually anymore. Birth rate slightly higher than death and escape rate, but we have a lot of escapes. We're losing most of our population because of escapes. Half of all escapes happened this year. Oh, not half of all. That's just from last year. We'll try and lower the prison sentences. I will concede that maybe minor crimes should not be treated as harshly. So they are only in prison for a very short time. Congratulations. You will not be in prison for very long. Hopefully you've learned your lesson. Maybe that boosts happiness enough. I still want a large prison population, but yeah, I don't think the Gulag was ruined. Well, that happiness evens out with the unhappiness, so we'll continue this way, I think. Our train is like slightly longer than what the trucks can handle, so the train will stand around for a bit as they bring enough resources here, which is fine by me. But at least the storage is going to be emptied out, and this storage is also being emptied out, so all production buildings will continue producing. Oh my god, wastewater price is getting expensive. Water and wastewater have almost doubled in price. Still very low. 3,000 rubles last year. Import the poop, export the water are still not economically. I don't think making our own water would be economically viable, but having a poop chute next to the border and dropping our own poop into it and exporting some poop from the border would be okay. Water trains are not a thing though. Not without mods. I will still need this road, because emergency services should have access to the rail construction office as quickly as possible. But everything else should go a different way. Oh, fire in the wood storage makes sense. Prisoners cannot fill engineer slots, no, I tested that with the vehicle production, I think. They only went into the regular slots, not in the engineer slots. It's less money than we had with the short train. Such a shame. So I think in short term we could probably save a bunch of money by not doing maintenance as often. But in the long term, I am hoping that we don't have to replace the vehicles as often. Are the kiosk usage intended to have some minor scarcity to increase criminality? No, they're intended so that they go get food and go back home and finish their workday as soon as possible. People spend a lot of their free time walking around. But when they have all of their needs fulfilled, they go back home and the rest of the day progresses really quickly. So my hope is that people who only want food and meat for the day, they go to a kiosk and go back home and get back to work as soon as possible. Also means that some of them don't have to walk all the way down here to satisfy the first demand. So this is like the normal progress time. They buy food, it goes a little bit quicker. And then go to a culture building slowly, goes quicker. And then they go back home, and it goes quicker for the rest of the day. So if you can remove all of that walking around, then they get back to work more quickly. But I guess you also technically increase the consumption of resources as people finish that day quote unquote faster. So. But workers are cheap, and having them eat a little bit more often, to work more often, I think is in our best interest. Workers are worth more than time-lapsing slower, yeah. Probably true. Hello Zadalier. Thank you very much for the raid. Welcome everyone. I'm Das Brightschwert. We're playing Workers and Resources today. How was your Project Zomboid stream? Damn, the woodbridge is so cheap. It is very cheap, yeah. It's very cheap and very slow to drive over, but it's fine. Also right, didn't quite find the second generator, but didn't die. Not dying in Project Zomboid is a win. Because the whole game tells you this is how you died, and you didn't die, so congratulations. For people who came with Zadalier, you probably know what Project Zomboid is, since you watched it, but you might also know what Workers and Resources is, what we're playing right now. If not, let me just give a quick introduction. This is Workers and Resources, a city building game in Eastern Europe during the Cold War. Had a good fight with the Project Zomboid arch nemesis. A locked door. Didn't win there. Oh, okay. So you gave up? Or did you bash it down? Or... What does constitute not winning against a locked door? I think it means walking away and not finding out what is behind it, I guess. You called it a draw. Ah, okay. Got it. Good teamwork, yeah. Teamed up with a locked door. Sounds reasonable. We are currently trying to do a challenge run in Workers and Resources, where we are only allowed to export resources for profit by having them be constructed by prison labor. And so far it's been a struggle bus, but we see a little bit of profits here and there happen every now and then. Maybe we can make it work. We already had to take out a loan to get a railroad set up, but at least it's running now. And it's making our exports a lot more efficient. Previously, the trucks were incapable of exporting everything. Not enough throughput. But now we have it. And we've been rewarded for it for having some profits. Making profit already? After 6 years, yeah. The clothing factory has over 10 workers now, every now and then. Which is very good. Still can have a lot more. Like, we should be able to get up to 50-ish workers with this. 70 if we cram as many people in here as possible. And the logging camps only require one prisoner to chop down the trees, and then the trucks can go and pick them up. So very, very labor efficient, although the wood prices are of course taking a nosedive because of it. And they're dropping even further now, so we're going to be heading towards a wood price below the starting price of wood fairly soon. I am tempted to set up an import for sewage and export, like drop it in here. Have a sewage discharge set up. Oh, Zardius. Welcome. Having a sewage truck constantly drive from the customs house to this building would add an extra vehicle to the customs house, but we would remove all the sewage trucks bringing sewage to the customs house as well. So in the end, this should be a gain. Plus we would start earning money and not losing money from having to export it anymore. Alright, we'll set this up and run one truck of sewage imports. Did we reopen the worker farms yet, aka the orphanages? No, we did not. They almost caused us a crime death spiral. What I instead intend to open is our second settlement that will not have a police station, so this should be a crime generating area. I'm not sure if it's going to be like okay to run it this way, since it's going to be like a third of our overall population, I believe. But I have to try it. Looks like technical services vehicles can go through here with no road vehicles allowed, which is quite nice. Don't you need a local prison, so you won't need as many prison buses to keep up the intervals? Intervals to what? Which building are you thinking about? We have a prison set up here for the clothing factory. And for the sawmill, I'm planning a small prison on this end, which would run a prison bus on a short route to the prison. To the sawmill. The sawmill doesn't need a lot of workers, but this should give us enough workers for the sawmill, and I might flip it around so it's facing this way. I'm not sure yet, but yeah, this should have enough capacity to run the sawmill easily. Oh, okay, sure, yeah. I try to keep them next to the industries. Okay, this logging camp has activated. It is now working again finally, which is nice. Finally can find wood again. Yeah, I guess, but you're doing that by planning the infrastructure accordingly. You have small prisons and large prisons, and they do try to only populate the small prisons to 50% if your large prisons are at 50%, so that should help you set up the required prison numbers by just building the buildings that way. It is not exactly what you want, but the system should allow for some balancing to be possible. Like the courthouses, yeah. Or the police stations, if you have small police stations and large police stations in the same settlement. They try to balance out the things evenly. They are local, of course, whereas prisons are global. So courthouses are the better example because they take all of the cases of the whole republic. Can't assign it to the sewage discharge. We have to have the unloading station. No treatment plant planned for this village run. This is fine. Aside from pollution, I don't see the point in treating the sewage. That is the point, yeah. You don't have to worry about the impact in 100, 200 years, so there's no point to it. Last construction task, and then we can set up the truck. Environmentalism in my republic. Algae bloom disaster would be cool. I would like to have moving water. So if you have a lake, the water slowly spreads the pollution around the coastline. But if you have a river, it would move the pollution away from the pollution source, but slowly pollute everything down the river. And if it is inside your republic, it would make other areas uninhabitable. But if you cause a lot of pollution across the border, there might be diplomatic repercussion events. But that is like, that would go into like a lot more level of detail that might not be like for a lot of people. I think most people would probably want more industries. I think an earlier start would be better. So going into the whole environmentalism aspect for this game, I could see being interesting, but I think better would be an earlier start. In their global wind direction already. People have said so, but I have never really noticed it much or ever. But I didn't really experiment for it. People always said the wind blows, I think, northeast or southeast, somewhere. But I'm not aware of it. At least when I'm planning, I'm not planning for the wind. Official 1920s or 30s start would be cool, I agree, yeah. Just to have a reason to have steam trains and properly integrated systems. With migrating from like very early, like even earlier farming basically. And smaller industries to get you started. So you have a very inefficient early steel mill, for example, or a very inefficient brickyard, and you have buildings that don't really require steel. Maybe buildings that just require, I guess steel simulates also iron in the game. But yeah, that could be a source of having new resources as well. I don't know if they're planning an expansion. It would be cool though. I mean, right now, game has been released. Probably time to take a break and chill for a bit. Fix everything that comes up and see that the people are happy. And finish the campaign, I guess. The third realistic mode campaign. Alright, technical service. Yeah. Sewage discharge now as well. No more sewage exports. Yeah, I imagine like we already have the starting settlements when you build with and play with existing settlements on the map. They could try and incorporate that into you actually being able to build them early game. No, I have not looked at the files. I'm not playing Workers and Resources as much Mega Monkey, so I'm not really diving into the game files like you are. Theme packs seem like a good direction too, yeah. Maybe the small sewage pipe was a mistake. But it's still faster than the customs house, so it's fine. Fabric imports 32,000. Exports 49,000, so we're not importing clothing and we're making money off it. Seems reasonable. If they make an expansion, they could focus in that expansion on new mechanisms. I think that would be fair. Or like making existing systems more complicated and simulation heavy. Upgraded pollution system, separating air and ground pollution, and maybe water pollution with moving water. Simulating air pollution with wind directions and hills maybe affecting where wind can go. So if you set up a settlement inside an area surrounded by hills, then there would be smog forming around the settlement if no wind can take the pollution away. Things like that. I would say that these things don't really need to be added as free content. Extend on renewables? I don't know. I guess I would like the hydroelectric power plant with a water storage that you set up. So you dig out like an artificial lake on a hill, and then you have your power production at the bottom of it. When you have excess power, you pump up the water, and when you don't, you let it down, and that would be your battery storage for the renewable energy sources, basically. That could be a really nice addition. So you would have a limited battery capacity depending on the size of the lake you dig out. And in reality, it would basically be just a large water storage that holds a bunch of water, and it fills up the water with a pump at the bottom with excess power, and when there's no power, not enough power, it would trigger the generator and let water flow downhill and produce power as the network demands. It doesn't have to be dynamic water. It could be an artificial lake, buildable building like the stadium. Similar in size. You build that, and it just is this thing, but like filled with water. So not a dynamic water simulation pumping it up and back down. Narrow gauge railway and funiculars would be a cool addition. I know narrow gauge railways, I don't know funiculars. Oh, funiculars, I think I know what they are. They are gear railroads, right? Like very steep railroad on a hill, if I remember correctly. I'm gonna look it up. Funicular. Yes. Gear railroads. Cable railway system. 45-degree trains. Rope pulled, okay. I don't know. Railway up a hill seems to be fine. Or just go that way, and then you go that way to some extent. And you zigzag your way up there. Mega Monkey has some experience with that. Of course, you would have to find an appropriate location. Still having a decent amount of income every now and then. Gradient tolerances. Are airways limited? We could build out this way, but I mean right now we don't have any reason to build anywhere other than a bauxite. And I kinda already determined that the other bauxite would be more easily accessible, but this one has a lot of buildable area. I would like a system where if you want to flatten an area, you mark it, you plan the flattening level, and then you set your construction officers onto it and they will dig it out in a realistic amount of time. So flattening a hill would not be a thing anymore, because it would just take too long. The captain of industry method, basically. But that would require a completely different engine, I think. If the construction vehicles could affect the terrain with construction orders. More utility for explosives. Well, yeah, that adds a lot of extra complexity, which is what we're looking for. Oh, that's what you mean. Okay. I need something to drink. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Medicinal industry, explosives for mines. Yeah, it's all a question of balance, I guess. Like a checkbox in the mine where you could turn on a secondary resource and then it only works if there's explosives available and it consumes both of them. And if no explosives are available, it'll stop, but it will work more efficiently. Like, well, not more efficiently, but has more output. That would be a cool idea. But then people will ask for, yeah, it should work more efficiently if the explosives are there, but not work more efficiently when they are not there, so I don't have to micromanage it. Yes. But we don't really have an industry that has different types of inputs and you can switch between them. So that would be a new system. Wastewater price is holding where it is, which is okay. Ain't that how farm fields work? No, they just support different types of mechanisms, but not different types of resources. Oh, you mean fertilizer? Well, I guess, yeah. They don't directly influence the processes. There's sowing and there's harvesting. They influence the fertility level, which then changes the harvest amount when they harvest. So the fertilizer does not get used up when the harvest triggers, basically, when the harvest is running. But you're right, there's a building that consumes resources dynamically based on what you give them. Technically it's the farm, the farm building.
not sure if we're making a profit in general now or not. I don't think so. You find it weird that all covered haul trucks can take explosives? Why is that weird? Have you seen what people did in history for health and safety? Or lack thereof? Unless you mean something completely different. How's our population growth now? It's still very low. It's holding basically. Dropped in population a bunch. I need population growth right now, so the prisoner amount will have to wait a bit. Have more limitations on train cars and boats with different ratios and mixing of contents. All box cars can also hold explosives. Aren't box cars like the equivalent? There are specialized train cars for things, that is true, but that's how it is. There's specialized livestock, meat, there's fluids, there's cement for dry bulk. And the western ones have a lot of specialization with a lot more effective train cars at that point. So I think the trucks behave like box cars and they just transport explosives, food or whatever. Feels normal. Hello Dentrussi. Welcome. Lumber exports are definitely keeping up now. All 4 logging camps running, and yeah, both of them have enough storage capacity as is. So now we're going to slow down our export a bit. But I hope the wood price is not going to keep going down. It's now below 9. It's now below the starting price. That is incorrect. It's not below the starting price just yet. But close. the hotkey to copy paste buildings. There is the picker tool, pick building infrastructure, which copy pastes whatever you click, even power lines and pipes and everything. And up here you have the shortcut bar hidden below the name of the game, where you can drop anything you want into it to use it as a hotkey. And you have multiple pages if you want. I have the dosimeter in here, so I can check for radiation even if I don't have a pollution monitoring building built up. Neat little trick. And then if you want to delete something, you can expand it, click it, and click the remove button, but yeah, this is customizable. I think I'm going to spend the money to try and populate this settlement. Oh crap, I didn't heat them. So they're moving in without heating right now. Hopefully they can get the heat up fairly quickly. My mistake. Whoopsie. Probably have to set up better buses now. Or more micro buses, I guess. Yeah, sorry about that. Hopefully it's gonna be fixed soon. Is there any natural radiation or you can use the dosimeter for, like prospecting for uranium or finding radon? Uranium does not have natural radiation that a dosimeter would pick up, I don't think. Frostbite's build character, yeah. It's not useful for anything like finding natural radiation, so you don't pick that up with it. I mean, it picks it up technically because you hear it beeping, but you don't use it for anything. Like you hear that it's clicking, so it's picking up background radiation. But as far as I know, you can't find anything with it. Kinda wish it would trigger for coal power plants a bit or something, but it's only there to find sources of radiation when there's a leak due to a fire or something. Alright, let's assign another bus. Probably all of them. And don't pick up workers anymore. Has the dev said anything since the 1.0 devlog, aside from patch notes? No, not that I know. Maybe they're on a well-deserved break. Maybe they're trying to get things ready for something, but I have not heard anything. Let's get rid of the dirt footpaths here. Don't think they're necessary. I think. Well, there should be a footpath entrance onto the road here, I guess. So a lot of people will not get what they want in that settlement, and it might cause criminality. But hopefully we don't lose all the people that I got via migration. This is going to be a testbed for a settlement without a police station. It's probably going to have quite a few issues. We'll set one building up to allow only highly educated workers to move in, because we want to make sure that the small clinic is staffed. Otherwise I don't have any work for highly educated workers, but if we need to, we could set up like a police station as well, if we notice that we're getting too many criminals in the area. Let's make sure we don't run out of money ever. Because with the temperature, that would be a problem. The wild downhill. Now accessing the border from here is going to be a little bit awkward. We have to come down from a little bit of height to make it through the power lines. Then come back up and connect into here. Have a connection that runs in from this side as well. Would have to change this junction again. That is going to be such a weird railway. Narrow gaugey. Alternatively, we have to come in from this side and just go over the road here and hook up in the triangular fashion that I showed. So another crossing basically, running along the hill and cross here again to hook up. If that is narrow gauge-ish, we would have to go further up in the hills, I guess, and make something really ridiculous. There would be an option here for a passing lane. If we need more train traffic, we could have two trains going into... one going in each direction, up to 2 trains. But if it's short trains, it could be even more. It's not really the plan for it. Realistically, we only need 1 train every now and then picking up all the wood and bringing it to the sawmill, running that route. And then 1 train picking up the boards and bringing them to the customs house. So this track, at the most, should only have 2 trains running over it, excluding rail construction vehicles. Can use the same train for both, yes, but in the future we'll also have wood coming in from this side, so the board train... I don't want all trains going to the border. The board train would be a 300-meter long train-ish that only runs ever so often. So there would be multiple wood deliveries before the board train starts running. And then we have 1 delivery of boards to the customs house, giving us money. And maybe occasionally it goes to a rail construction office somewhere on this side. I don't know. We can get gravel from this side, I guess, and run it into a rail construction office. That mountain is quite conveniently located to have a rail construction settlement in this area, I guess. Maybe with a bit of a train yard. For a depot. A refueling point, definitely. The train at the sawmill should be able to refuel here. That should be possible. Are you many steps behind prefab frames? We could make prefab panels with 1 research. Speaking of research, I did unlock a research point by getting the next settlement, I guess. People shouldn't be dying in it, I hope. Unreported and patrolled crime happening. Should I set up the police station and just not have it active, just in case something bad happens? I can activate it and not having to build it. I think they will need a police station, otherwise they're just going to devolve into crime here and this is just going to be a drain on our population. I'll set up a small police station. Sheriff mode. Actual police gangs, yeah. There's no crime in our republic. They're just independent. Independent security forces. We won't run it, like we will keep it disabled for now. But I think the settlement will be a population drain on the Republic the way it's set up. I think we have to run it. We need the population to be stable and not lose people right now. But it seems like this area is already creating crime by itself, so... Well, not a lot. One building. Yeah, one crime happened. Oh well. Concerned about the fire station? Which fire? This one? What about it is concerning? Oh, they have a gas station nearby. They refuel outside on this gas station and are ready to go. I haven't spent any money on proper gas stations yet. Let me get 2 more buses. So someone borrows the fuel to lighten up the police station. It does get a bit chilly during the winter. Need to keep the policemen warm. Yes, kinda. But the temperature should be sufficiently high because there's not that much demand. Minus 40 degrees, let's take a look. It's over 20 degrees, we are fine. Let's check out the police station here that is slightly further away. It's also still at 20 degrees Celsius, so, well, 18, but that's okay. Switch truck setup, only 1. It already affected the price, I'm not going to set up more than 1. And the domestic sewage trucks are set up to bring the sewage down here. So we're not running any sewage exports anymore. Wait a minute. You don't have the correct distance set yet. Need to be set to 3 kilometers, please. Thank you. Telling me I borrowed this fuel from the fire truck for nothing? You're borrowing fuel from the fire truck? Leave my fire trucks alone, please. How's colonization of Siberia going? Slowly, very slowly. With the limitation of only being able to make money with prison labor, it is a slog. It's very slow paced. We're trying to build up settlements and keeping things alive. Haven't given them any water yet, so that's fun. They haven't complained about it yet, though. I guess they do have water. Two garbage trucks, 2 snowplows, I guess. Snowplows here seem important. But yeah, very slowly making progress. Maybe planning out the next settlement to get to the bauxite. The bauxite area would need a large prison next to it, and it might get a heating plant next to a prison. Then we would have to run worker buses to it to keep it staffed. I don't know. The sawmill is kind of like on the agenda next. But if the wood price keeps going down, then so is the... Oh, it's holding now, okay. So is the board's price. We could refine it for a little bit more efficient money making. And then we would also export it a little bit less, because wood gets refined into fewer boards because they're cut into pieces and stuff gets lost. So maybe reducing our export a little bit that way by refining the resources would be the right choice. Do sawmill make a lot of bio-waste? Fertilizer is big money. No, they make burnable waste, not bio-waste. I think snowplows would be the right choice, so I'll buy 2. We don't need to go for the expensive ones. I am perfectly happy with these. Probably go with the W50 ones actually. Go with the cheapest snowplow. These ones are even better and cheaper. Yeah, go with the cheap snowplows. Don't plow any dirt roads, and the rest you can do. That means this technical service with its snowplows doesn't have to drive to the settlement anymore. And they can just meet here. That is fine. There's not that much stuff to plow here. The main road and the area for the settlement itself. Should hopefully make the buses a lot more efficient at transporting the students and the passengers throughout the year. I will want to set up an end station, I'm pretty sure, on the return trip. The bus should probably be able to refuel and efficiently line space, so we might have a bus stop here somewhere, maybe on this side. They drive in and then drive back out. Because you knew this already, but you can actually assign custom range for building technical service by clicking on the number. I did not do that for the technical service yet. That's neat. I know it for resource storages. Is that also true for, I guess, construction office? Oh yeah. Oh. Can't have my 11 million auto search range, unfortunately. What if I put an A in there? Oh, I can't put a letter in there. What about a comma? What about a search range of 0.000001? 100 meter minimum, okay. Thank you, I did not know that. I just used the buttons, but for precision, could be useful. For the technical services, for example. 1 million kilometer range would probably kill my game, yeah. Exactly what I want. Well, I guess we can go for 900. 905? Nope. There we go. Balch's video the other day. I don't know if this one is new. I do know that they introduced a higher search range to 3.5 kilometers, and maybe in that update they also allowed you to customize this. I don't know if it was in there already. I use it very frequently when setting bus stops, for example. When you set like work areas and then you can customize it, or control click to set it to 0, and then you say the first two should be 50-50 and then the other ones should be empty. And then they go to these two buildings first and then never send any people to these. Yeah, I don't think either, but I'm not 100% sure. And I use it extensively for resource storages. Okay, I don't really need to buy a police car yet. I guess I also use it here. We'll just have it available. If we need it, we can build it up. Thank you, Cyphers. Oh no, I do actually want to run it, but like... let's try it with 4 workers. 2 of the cheapest police cars, please. And run our police station here. Population growth right now, more important. Deal with the crime, get people to be happy. don't lock them up for half of their life. Lots of complaints about spirituality. Maybe I do need to build that that gallery of the art, just to give them some culture building that works through the winter. Like not culture, but like attraction building. But this is very expensive, maintenance-wise as well. To lock them up for half their lives. Who's going to make a new pair of jeans? We're working on it. We need more people in general. We need a population to have prisoners. It's very weird. I have a gas station here, that's fine. We'll let this one run out and see if we can fit the gallery of the art in that space. That would reach everyone. The red pig locomotive is available. Obviously, because it's red, it's way faster. Gets a speed buff. The power pig. Yes. The power pig. Can we paint some lightnings to it as well? Unfortunately not, no. No speed stripes, no lightning. It is perfect the way it is, except there will be a new better version fairly soon. Okay, I am probably okay with the way the railroad is set up. It is very janky and I like it. We have another road crossing. But yeah, I only plan to have at most 2 trains running this way. In the beginning, when we only have this logging camp, then we can tell it, okay, unload everything, wait until unloaded and load the sort down boards again, so we wouldn't need to set up the second storage. But I think in the future we will have like a dedicated unloading storage and a loading storage. That's the way this is planned at the very least. And then I think... I mean, rail construction office probably at some point. I don't think that's like a necessity right now. We don't need a larger rail construction office. The current one does its job well enough. How long is our train? Should be, I said like less than 100, right? Yeah, 96. Good. Over 150 and we would have to set up the other loading, unloading stations. There are better logging trucks available now, I think. The U377 logger trucks are there. They would increase our throughput quite a bit. Currently, we have a loading speed of 20, and they would up it to 29. And they look kind of cool. But we are not going to pay for them right now. They would be added as a replacement vehicle for the T138. We don't have any other vehicles in our Republic. We have, like, of that type, doing other tasks. We have 3 vehicles per logging camp times 4. It's exactly the 12 vehicles that we see here. So we can just replace them with the logger trucks, and then they would have their own dedicated vehicle type. But it's going to be a few years before that happens. Maybe once the sawmill is up and we realize that we want more wood transported, at that point we could try and bolster our efficiency of logging by getting better trucks or just setting up more logging camps, which, to be fair, we also wanted to have some logging camps here, I guess. I think the logging camps in the area would be set up and then have a truck delivery into the storage. I don't think I would set them up any other way, like directly attached to the storage would be an option. This one here, maybe? It's not gonna be easily possible to go over those train tracks because of how closely together I built everything. But yeah, a truck-based delivery should be fine. We can have a logging camp here, 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 and maybe a 4th one on that side. And they send all of their... I guess like there would be 2 on this side with a storage where they're attached to. And then from that storage there would be maybe a distribution of a setup to bring the resources here. Dedicated truck road could also work. That would be very expensive to set up. Right now, we're sometimes earning money, most of the time we're... Well, I guess last month we would have also earned money if I didn't buy more vehicles. There was the snowplows and the police cars. Manually plant more trees. We have so much wood lying around. There's so much wood still here. Okay, for that logging camp, maybe not. Alright. Trees are free. Except when you're running 20 logging camps and it gets really annoying when you have to keep doing it. Then it takes up a lot of time. But right now it's fine, yeah. So what are we researching? Oh, we're down to 26 highly educated workers because of the other migrants, I guess. Automatic tree replanting would be way too early. Bauxite purification we can... I think those facilities require a lot of workers as well. Oh, only 25. And they can convert a lot of bauxite, raw bauxite into bauxite. It would reduce the amount of resources being transported significantly. Maybe we have to keep going that way. Because this requires fewer workers than a bauxite mine. And it would increase the efficiency of our trains. Because we would load fewer materials that are more expensive. By a significant margin, I think. Of course, we wouldn't get any benefit right now because we haven't built towards it yet. Bauxite costs 56 rubles and raw bauxite 31. But we do cut the amount of bauxite we have by a relatively large amount. Like, how much is that? It's not quite half. 60%-ish. So it's not as much of a profit margin, it's half of that approximately. So from 30 to 56. That's like maybe 14-15 rubles per bauxite refined. Yeah. What else do we have? Let's go through the tech tree real quick. Engineering, probably not. That requires a reasonable amount of workers, 150, otherwise very low throughput. Same for the steel production. Don't need high capacity power lines or cableways. Don't need pipeline architecture. Does this one have a benefit? Does it make pipelines actually longer? Concrete utilization for prefab panel buildings could be a thing, but we don't really need it, I don't think. Pollution detector, not necessary. We know everyone's polluted. Pollution filter installation could be a good tech, because it will make our compact settlements a lot more resilient towards pollution. And that would be an option that we can do without a medical university, where we would take vitamins, I guess, as a technology. Woodcutting, planting policy, I said we wouldn't do. Refinery takes way too many workers. And oil is really cheap, so the fuel price shouldn't be that high. We could produce chemicals with imported resources, I guess. Fewer workers in a clothing factory. Tiny amounts of chemicals being produced. That could be an option. Geological mapping to maybe prepare for oil extraction. If we wanted to run oil export. Now uranium mines, I don't think they gave a lot of they needed quite a few more workers than a bauxite mine, I think. 100, yeah. We don't see the cost from here, unfortunately. Airfields, no. Renewable energy sources. I think those are going to be too expensive. They would prevent us from having to import electricity as much, I guess. But how much are we importing right now? 0.5 megawatt. I guess we could try and export some electricity, but the electricity price was 0.5 per megawatt hour, I think. Yeah. Not really worth it, I don't think. Waste separation. We only have construction waste from the imported waste we saw. Energy from waste, or heating from waste. Would that make sense to place such a building next to the sawmill? And if we produce a lot of burnable waste next to the sawmill, we could try and convert it into electricity for our republic as well. Gas power plant, no. I mean, gas power plant sounds reasonable, especially with the cheap oil prices. But we don't really plan on importing large amounts of oil. And there's a lot of oil on the map that we are able to extract right now. Because of the limitation of that, we are not going to extract it or look for it before finishing the research. So I don't really see anything to research right now. I still need distribution offices really badly. Sawmill got the train already. I don't think we can run hotels with prisoners, but I am going to say that hotels are not going to happen in this republic at all, because it doesn't fit the theme of a Gulag run. Well, I think I'm going to postpone this decision, because I don't really have any plan on what to research right now. Our second settlement has been set up as expected, decently. I think it might be okay now with the bus route. They have access to alcohol, they have access to food and meat and clothing they can buy in a nearby settlement. So students and passengers have to take a bus every now and then to get there. But sometimes there are only small buses available and they can't get what they need, because the bus is probably too small. So maybe there will be a little bit of crime happening here. We will see. Prisoner count is down to 24. Very unproductive. Let's open up the orphanage and see if it runs without food, clothing and meat. This will create a lot of prisoners. It will just take time for them to grow up, but it will be excessive if it works. If it doesn't accept new children, if there's not enough food, clothing or meat, then we will have to fill the storages, but it will run without them for the people that are already in it. So it might not accept children if there are no supplies present, but then I guess we could just supply food and leave the rest off. And be done with it. I'll give it some time and see if children start showing up. And if not, we would change that. But yeah, I think I'm going to take a break here for now. I think it's going to be a shorter stream, only 3 hours today. And we can continue this either next week or on the weekend, we'll see. My room is heating up a lot and I would like to take a break. We are going to raid over to Lee Hawkins Photo, who is streaming Workers and Resources as well. Not sure what he's up to, But if you want to see more workers and resources, stick around. And if not, that is fine too. I wish you all a good start to your weekend. Hope you have a lovely Friday afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Thank you for showing up, God Ninja, Mega Monkey, Captain Through. I don't know why I started reading the names of, but now I have to go through all of them. God Ninja, Mega Monkey, Ziggin, Captain Through, Sadalier, Cyphus, Archduke, and Dentrussi, and many more. Sardius, Sadalier, we already read off. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. All the best, take care, and as always, maybe I'll see you next time.